St Moritz in the Engadin Valley, the home of ice sliding. It's the venue for round 7 of the BMW IBSF Women's Skeleton World Cup. One of the most scenic and certainly the most historic location on tour. It's the only artificial track in the business, and it's also the venue for this year's European Championships. Hello everybody, welcome to a stunning afternoon here in St Moritz. Martin Haven and Ben Sanford looking towards perhaps an entertaining conclusion to this race, Ben.
Yeah, absolutely. St Moritz is a wonderful track to slide on, and we have some great races here in St Moritz, and today is absolutely no different. Janine Flock coming into the World Championships in 2 weeks is in 3rd place at the moment. Then we have Tina Herman. Tina Herman's won 4 World Cups already this season, the World Cup leader, sliding well here in St Moritz, and in 2nd place currently. And then Jacqueline Lolling. Jacqueline burst onto the World Cup scene, or the World Championship scene last season, finishing 2nd in the World Championships in her first senior race. And today she's holding the lead for the first time going into the 2nd run and sliding really well. This is a track that really should suit her. It's long, it's fast, and it's a driver's track.
And she leads by a tiny margin. Top 4 covered by 0.2 of a second. Janine Flock, who was the European champion 2 years ago, just 900ths out of the lead. Tina Herman 600ths behind Jacqueline Lurling. Lurling led once already this year, only for Herman to overhaul her to take Herman's first win of the season, and that was in Winterberg, Jacqueline Lurling's home track. Well, 20 athletes go in the 2nd heat. Only Maria Montejano of Spain failed to make the cut in heat 1, looking good to horseshoe. She then pulled it down hard and smoked the wall, and that took the speed out of the sled. Lots of young fans enjoying some beautiful conditions, but it's been a mild and fairly snowless few weeks here in St Moritz. The track barely at freezing temperatures, but we saw spectacular speed in the first heats of our races, and the track record, well, hasn't been broken at the bottom, but the start record has.
And every year we have a new track record on this track. The track is built new every year, so you turn up in January and you get to set the track record in the first run down. And the weather conditions today are good. The track should be warming up a little bit, so getting faster as the day goes on. And like you said, the week's been interrupted a little bit with the warm weather conditions here, and so the athletes are sliding in the afternoon, and it wasn't so cold last night, and so that's going to affect how the athletes prepare for this race.
Here's our start list then. Katie Tannenbaum from the Virgin Islands goes off first, and then look where the Russians are stuck. Maria Oliver, Yulia Kanakina 18th and 19th after the first heat, and their teammate Yelena Nikitina, who set the new start record in the first run, still only in 7th place. Junior world champion Lelda Pregelena is in 10th spot, and as we get to the sharp end of the field, race winners Annie O'Shea and Laura Dees this year, along with Tina Herman, who's won 4 races, and Jacqueline Lurling, who has never won a World Cup race. 20 sleds in the 2nd and deciding heat here in St Moritz, headed off by the girl from the hottest homeland, from St John in the Virgin Islands, Katie Tannenbaum, 20th after the first heat. Martin Haven, Ben Sanford watching trackside, and Ben, this first 3 corner elements of the track, so long, so slow, so dangerous. Why is it dangerous for the athletes? Because they can kill their run here before they even get to a proper turn.
Yeah, Katie's in what we call the wall corner at the moment, and the stretch of the track from when you start to wall corner is so important. If you don't get that right, and if you don't stay calm on the sled, and if you don't keep the sled going down the middle of the track and avoiding the walls, then you're just not going to have any speed, and you're going to have a slow time.
Little bit of a skid from Nash into Dixon, into Horseshoe, the big 180-degree corner. One of only 2 on the track that has a wall behind it. The rest are all made from slush and water.
Katie having a decent run here. A little bit of a touch on the wall between Telephone and Shamrock, but putting together a nice run.
1200s faster than her own first start. And the speed at the bottom, 128.5. First run, 127, so she's going quicker. We saw the 2nd heat of the men's race that's just finished going faster.
Oh, nice move.
Yeah, gets her shoulder out of the way as much as she can. Kendall Westenberg would be better at that. She's got double-jointed shoulders, apparently. She's not half fly, but she'd look like it. So Katie's first run, 113.39. Her second, 112.87. So half a second better.
Here's the replay in Horseshoe. Pretty good line coming out of Horseshoe. Around Telephone and into Shamrock, but just here as she comes out of Telephone, doesn't quite keep the sled high enough in Telephone and touches that wall on the left.
Well, really pleased to get a second heat here. Doesn't happen all the time, and she really made the most of that, and that puts the Russians in front of her under some pressure, perhaps. This is Maria Orlova, 4th fastest starter, 19th at the bottom, didn't make massive errors. Let's see if it improves now. Let's see if the runner choice was wrong for early and right for later.
Yeah, Maria was all just touching the wall there. That's going to cost her. You see her just moving around a lot on the sled here, really struggling to keep it going in a straight line.
Well, you can see looking there in that shot, the runners don't run flat on the ice the whole way. They're like a rocking chair. There's a tiny little contact patch, maybe the length of your middle finger and maybe the size of your middle finger, and that's all you've got.
Yeah, it's one of the way athletes can alter the sled is by changing the amount of contact the runner has with the ice. So we call it putting rock into the sled or bow into the runners, and so you can adjust that between runs and change that, and that's going to change how much control you have in there. She has a problem coming out of Horseshoe.
94 kilometers, Katie Tannenbaum, 95.5.
And so in theory, the less contact patch you have on the ice, the less control you have, but the faster you're going to be.
So it's always a balancing act, as riding the sled is itself. She's still in front of Tannenbaum, but the gaps come down. 8/10 in front, 126.8 to 128.5 for the slider from the Virgin Islands. That's not really what the Russians want to hear. So she does take the lead from Katie Tannenbaum, but her slide, 112.71 from a former race winner at World Cup level. Only 17 hundredths faster than Katie Tannenbaum. Wow. Whatever questions Willi Schneider was asking, I'm not sure the answer was yes to any of them so far.
See Maria just touching the wall there. She comes out of Horseshoe and before she enters Telephone. And not looking too impressed with her runs today.
Gee, when you're down in 17th, 18th, 19th, why would you be? Off the 4th fastest start? What about Yulia Kanakina, 5th fastest starter? The former ballet dancer clearly has a lot of spring in her legs. Not sure she's going to have much spring in her step. Again, look at the way she lies on the sled, head right down, slaps her arms against her side,
she
just
really slaps the arms in.
to really break her mind away from that sprinting into that sliding.
Yeah, they're two completely different things. Having the power off the line, the power when you're running, and then landing on the sled and being able to relax and get that zen-like feel of being very calm on the sled and being in control.
They seem to be two mutually exclusive things. You've got to be, you know, a 30-yard dash, absolute explosion of ferocious power, and then just float like a cloud onto your sled.
Yeah, and you see people really struggle with that. You see people that, you know, maybe have come from a sprinting background and they struggle with that, getting onto the sled and relaxing straight away. They hold that tension that they have from sprinting too far down the track, and you know, this sliding suffers as a result. A little bit of a skid there going into tree.
But she is starting to pull out a big advantage over teammate Maria Orlova. Just 13 hundredths up. She's gone to 45 hundredths up. 126.0, 2.5 kilometers in there on Katie Tannenbaum of the Virgin Islands. But she takes the lead from Maria Orlova as she comes across the line. Russia 1-2, but still 17 sleds to come.
In der Addition Weiterläufe 2:25,14.
Yulia Kanakina of Russia takes the lead, but this is way too far down the order for anybody to be smiling at all about it. Ben Sanford, Russians in a bit of a tailspin here. The Russian girls not having a good time at all.
Yeah, you know, they don't seem to be performing well today, whether it's the runners or the equipment or, you know, the rock they've decided to put into the runners. It's hard to say, but yeah, you're right.
Kim Almans of Belgium, 17th in the first of our two heats here in St Moritz, round 7 of the Women's Skeleton World Cup. As she blasts off, Russian 1-2, Yulia Kanakina leads Maria Orlova. Nice quiet run through the first corner. Martin Haven, Ben Sanford watching the action.
Kim struggled a little bit in the first run, and oh, it's so hard to get it off the wall when it starts doing that. That's going to cost her a lot of time.
The Russians in front of her started 0.2 of a second faster. Her margin over Kanakina, the current leader, was just 1/100th of a second, and all that ping-ponging down the wall bend when you've not got much speed on to start with. Hitting the wall takes a much greater percentage out of you than when you're going in the fast corners.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're going to rely on your driving to pick up time down the track, then your driving really has to be perfect.
Marmons dropping back, 3rd position at the moment. This young Belgian, just 19 years old, slid originally for Germany. Went to high school in Bavaria with her, well, what were then her German teammates, now the Germans at the front of the field. Dropping way out of contention, 7/10 back. She might struggle to stay in front of Katie Tannenbaum. Well, she does in the end, but a horror story of a ride for Kim Marmons. So Julia Kanakina stays in the leader box for at least one sled.
And they're just looking up at the clock, seeing what her finish position is.
Now, luckily, the clock just gives you the time. It doesn't say horrible first couple of corners, Kim.
Yeah, and she loses it all here coming out of kink 2. Out of horseshoe again, hitting the wall, sending the ice flying.
Donna Crichton of Great Britain lying 16th after the first of our 2 heats. 9th fastest starter. Good down to horseshoe, but had really very little speed below it. Let's see if she's made a change to the mindset or the sled that'll work for her in heat 2.
Between runs, the athletes do have 10 minutes in what we call the parc fermé, where the sleds are stored at the top of the track, and they can go in there, they can adjust the settings of the runners to change between runs, to maybe put the rock up a little bit so they can get a little bit more out of the second run.
And how much does having the sun on the track now, much brighter light coming through the trees, how much does that change what you see?
Well, obviously, if it's really dark and then it goes to light, there's a big difference. Generally, you're so focused on what you're doing that the light in the track, it shouldn't distract you too much, unless the sun is shining right in your eyes when you're coming around one of the corners.
It's kind of a white out though, isn't it? White background, white snow in the air, or in the trees, and lots of white ice.
Yeah, especially when you're in the bottom of the track here and you come out of Sachs corner and you're heading down the long straight into Nartano, and you come out of Sachs and all you see is white. You have no idea where you are in the track, no idea where right here. Often coming out of that corner, if the sun's in your eyes, you just can't see a thing.
Oh, here we go. Donna Crichton finding speed at the bottom that she didn't have in the first heat. A 10th up on Kanakina in the first run. Half a second up on Julia in the second. Well, you've got to look at the Russians. They didn't have horrendous runs. Kim Marmons did. The Russians didn't. But to be this far down in the field, they just didn't have the runners right, or the setup of their runners right for the conditions. Donna Crichton made a much better fist of this run as well.
Here in horseshoe, you see her steering there, takes the steer off and allows it to flow out of horseshoe and into telephone corner.
She takes the lead from Julia Kanakina by half a second. Donna Crichton leads with 15 to go. Die Bahn ist frei, the track is free for Jacqueline Narracott in St Moritz in Switzerland. The Aussie missed the last World Cup race after feeling dizzy in Park City. She sat out Whistler. Not the place, Ben Sanford, to go if you're having disorientation problems. So she's had a couple of weeks away from the ice, feeling much better for it.
Yeah, Whistler's one of the most demanding tracks in the world. There's high G-forces, it's fast, the corners are coming at you quickly, and then you come here to St Moritz, and again, a really fast track, but the track is so smooth and it's so quiet, and it's a nice place to come.
100th in front of our current leader, Donna Crichton, from the first heat. Now she's managed to squeeze herself back in front through Nash and Dixon, named after the 2 Brits that won the 2-man gold in Innsbruck in 1964 in the Olympics. Members of the St Moritz Bob Club.
Jacqueline putting together a good run here.
Nice and quiet. You hardly hear any little scrapey, scratchy noises. That means she's in control of the sled and not steering too much.
A little bit late into the right-hand corner, but she gets it back.
Good speeds as well, 96.1, little slower than Donna Crichton at the bottom. No, 129.1, quicker than Donna Crichton, so she's going to open up that advantage. Oh, wow! Lost a little in the final corner. She takes the lead nevertheless. But Donna didn't have as good speed through the track down the straight. But a quicker run, 1:11.84. That's a good run from Jacqueline Narracott of Australia. Her first heat, 1:12.58, so that's 7/10 quicker.
Yeah, it really is a good run, holding her place there and hopefully picking up a few spots. Just touches here as she enters into telephone, but gets back on the line quickly and maintains that lead.
There's the big green grin from the Queenslander. Good evening, everybody at home in Brisbane. Corinna Meyer from Austria. 20 years old, one of the youngest athletes in the field, and you've got to figure the most petite as well. 5.67 getaway, immediately puts her behind the 8 ball compared to leader Jacqueline Narracott. She was only 600s in front.
Just the sled going a little bit to the left and a little bit to the right there, struggling to maintain control. I always forget how young she is, because she's been sliding for so long.
Well, we'll have 4 runners in the World Championships in Eagles next year. Probably 7 or 8-year-old kids doing the 4-running, because they start them very young now.
It's probably been one of the biggest differences or changes I've seen in the sport over the years is how young the field has become. When I first got involved, you couldn't do skeleton until you turned 18, and now you have 7 and 8-year-olds doing it.
48 hundreds back from being 600s in front of Jacqueline Narracott. This is turning into a bit of a horror story from Corinna Meyer. No major issues, no big hits, no massive skids. But something in the setup of the sled is not working for her. She's half a second back. And she will drop at least 3 spots. At the line, 3rd place. She drops 2 then. Jacqueline Narracott starts to climb the order. Corinna Meyer comes back in 3rd for Austria. Jacqueline Narracott leads. The Aussies' best result this season, 7th place in Lake Placid. She currently leads with 12 sleds to go, rather. There's your leader, Jacqueline Narracott. Big smile, glad to be back on the ice. Beautiful sled for Jane Channel of Canada, matching the artwork on her helmet. The girl from North Vancouver. 13th after first heat for the 3rd place woman in our World Cup standings for the season. Martin Haven and Ben Sanford trackside in St Moritz, watching the action. And Ben, she's a long way, Jane, from where she's been pretty much all season long.
Yeah, she's been having a great season, consistently in the top 10 and on the podium. She'll be frustrated with her first run today and trying to move up and get that top 10 and hopefully even further. We saw a big change in the field of the men's race just previously, and so she'll be hoping to be the Killian of this run.
Melissa Hollingsworth, Jeff Payne, lots of Canadian sliders have had big success on this track. Unlocking the key will be absolutely important for Jane Channel. She's gone from 46 to 59 hundredths up on Jacqueline Narracott. This might get her into the top 10 conceivably, but to match a season's best results is going to be a very tall ask from here.
Yeah, a little bit of trouble coming out of Horseshoe. Looking good around Devil's Dyke and into Tree.
Near constant toe steers, the dragging noises all the way down the ice.
Just getting pushed a little bit away, a little bit to the right.
129.9, again, not the best speeds we've seen. 8/10 up though on Jacqueline Narracott. Tags the wall and finishes nearly a second in front of the Aussie. So Jacqueline Narracott's time in the leader's box is done. And a 1:11.21 slide would have left her as the race leader in the first heat. So Jane Channel and the track are both much quicker.
Much quicker.
Almost a second ahead.
Yeah, and that's a good run, and the second ahead is a long way.
Yeah.
Jane's so fast at the start, really powerful athlete, really quick. See those heels coming through nice and low at the start of the push.
Wow. Mimi Ranova's track record could easily tumble now if the leaders can find that amount of extra speed as well. Next up, Sophia Griebel, third of our German athletes. Only 12th spot for her. It's a very unusual position for her to find herself in as well.
Looking nice and relaxed on the sled at the top of the track.
Seeing more and more snow dropping off the trees. The sun has been on the trees half the afternoon, little bits flopping into the track. Sophia, 4th, 5th, 5th, 8th, 5th, and a 15th spot in Lake Placid as her worst of the season. I think she might be in that sort of territory again here because she's already gone 3/10 back.
Taking a very late line there into Nash.
Heading down right in the middle of the track for Horseshoe, right in the middle of the track, round Horseshoe.
Gets the line out, uses her toe, gets that line coming into telephone.
Needs to. She's lost nearly half a second on Jane Channel.
Is she going to pick up time in the bottom here? Using her foot to get off that corner early.
Well, she's been behind Jane on speed all the way down the track. And Jane Channel is going to hold the lead by a margin at the bottom. Better speed from the German, but nothing like enough. She slips, and Jane Channel from Vancouver leads the race with 11 still to go. 4/10 slower than Jane Channel on this run alone. Sophia Griebel slips behind her by 38 hundredths.
Low line here in Horseshoe, using her left foot to try and get the sled out, like turn the sled down and get it off the corner as quickly as possible.
And then immediately starts steering right. She realizes she's over-rotated from the low line. Elizabeth Vache of Canada on the ice. Her teammate Jane Channel also in the leader's box. So we'll have a Canadian leading at the end of this heat, but which one? The girl from Vancouver or the girl from Calgary?
Just maybe narrowly misses that wall there on the right. Nice head position close to the ice, maintaining that aerodynamic form.
Elizabeth last year, a silver and a gold medal in her first 2 World Cup races. This year, her best result, 6th position in Park City, Utah. So it's been a very different season. I guess the phrase that North Americans use would be sophomore slump, but...
Never heard that before.
Yeah, that tricky second album, perhaps. 700ths away, still 700ths away. This is very close indeed between the 2 Canadian women. Only 400ths between them in the first heat. But now the gap opens up and mistakes coming in. She's a little late on some of these steers, Ben.
Yeah, and you can see her just doing a little bit of work between the corners on the straights, trying to correct the line.
And the speed is not enough. She's not going to catch her at the line. 2100s back. Second place, Canadian 1-2. Jane Channel leads with 10 to go. And Elizabeth Vache in second spot. 1:11.51, still good enough for second in the first heat, though. So still lots of speed in this track. When the top 10 come down, we should see the record coming under threat.
Horseshoe taking a reasonably high line in Horseshoe. Coming off just sideways there a little bit before she goes into telephone.
Elizabeth Vache second, Jane Channel leads for Canada with Sophia Griebel in third. 10 to go here in St Moritz, round 7 of the BMW IBSF Skeleton World Cup. Junior World Champion 2016 from Latvia, Laura Pregelena, battling for honours here and in the European Championship as well as the World Cup. But what a standout last few weeks she's had. Second in the last 4 ICC races, and then added those 4 silvers, a gold in the Junior Worlds just 10 days or so ago.
Looking nice and comfortable on the sled at the moment. Really nice line down through the straights and into wall.
Looking to reignite her career trajectory. It's sort of flatlined last season, hasn't picked up again this year.
Laura been sliding for a number of years, but again, still a really young athlete.
Yeah. Well, she's now starting to become sort of middle of the age group at about 22 years old. There's 3 or 4, 5 or 6 athletes who are still late teens, very early 20s. Junior world champion, that's a big feather in her cap. I mean, it's a very solid field. The gap has never been out even to a 1/10 of a second. And she is 300s behind, but 1:30.0. This could be very close. Will she overhaul Jane Channel out of the final corner? No! 400s behind in second place. Well, 1:11.30 still would have been good enough to lead in the first heat. It's another really impressive run from Lelder. Didn't quite find the speed she wanted.
See her loading onto the sled here, getting into position quickly. It's really important to get onto the sled and just relax. Find your position on the sled as quickly as possible.
It is now 4:11 local time here in St Moritz. The sun is going to drop behind the mountains soon, and the track will not get any slower. What about the start record? Marina Gilardoni, second fastest starter. Start record was set by Yelena Nikitina at 5:26. How close does Maria get in her second getaway? 5:26, she ties the start record. She's such a big starter. Former brakewoman, double junior world champion in bobsled. Did try driving bobsled, tried it once, she said, hated it, and then went, right, what else can I do now? I don't just want to be a humper and a pusher all my life, so she went to skeleton.
Good choice.
Yeah, good choice. Well, she can fine up her driving and get anywhere close to what Switzerland have produced before in women's skeleton. She will have a starry career. 6,300s up now on Jane Channel.
Yeah, that's a good lead coming into the middle section of the track.
Well, only 9th in the first heat from second fastest.
Nice.
This is a stellar run from Gilardoni.
Oh, and listen to that sled go down the hill there.
That's beautiful. It sounds like a low-flying jet.
It does.
And any toe scratching? Not a bit of it in a new track
record.
record. Mimi Ranova, your track record goes. Who took the record away from Mimi in Whistler? Was it Marina again? I think she took the start record from her. I think she did. I think she took it back. So 1:10.42, a track record.
Erin Horseshoe using her foot to get that line that you want out of the corner, but really good run.
Wow. Well, we talked about the fact that the Swiss have not slid on this track more than anyone else because it opened in December. But what a blinding run from Marina Gilardoni. Now Joska LeConte, really strong first heat from her, 8th place. She finished 7th in Koenigsegg Bavaria last year, her best ever World Cup race. Thank you, Angie. Thanks, Ken, for passing that on. So she's one away from equaling her PB, but she's going to have to go some to beat Marina Gilardoni.
Yeah, Marina really putting the pressure on the athletes to come down the hill here. They'll all be at the top, knowing what Marina's just done, knowing that she's just set a track record, and knowing that they have to beat that.
Well, Marina went 700s faster, but Joska went 600s faster, so she's still got her first round advantage when she lays down, but Marina's speed in the early part of the track was brilliant, and listen how much more you can hear coming from Joska than you could from Marina.
Yeah, Joska had to do a lot of steering and Horseshoe to get out of there clean. Now she's starting to find some rhythm.
Speed at the bottom from Marina Gilardoni, 131.6, 130.5. She's not going to come close. Gilardoni will lead with 7 to come, but Joska will be in second place. So Marina Gilardoni, our race leader, stays in the leader's box, and that smile might be growing in the next few minutes. Joska LeConte slips 1 to second with 7 to come, so that's guaranteed another top 10 finish as the Dutch girl continues to find her form.
Yeah, that's a great result from Joska. She'll be disappointed to drop 1 spot, but really good result.
Start record setter Yelena Nikitina from Russia. 7th in the first of our 2 heats in St Moritz. Round 7 of the Women's Skeleton World Cup. Martin Haven, multiple medal winner on this track. Ben Sanford watching the action for you, with you. But Nikitina, 7th place off a fastest start. Can she break that 5:26? Yes, 5:25, new start record.
It's just incredible how fast she is at the start. Just such quick leg turnover.
Well, Marina Gilardoni took the lead away from Canada's Jane Channel. And Yelena Nikitina has now twice taken the track record away from Mimi Ranova at the start. But Ranova still holds the track record, which is set anew every year as this handmade track is refreshed and built up from green fields.
Taking a green middle line into horseshoe. Ooh.
Oh, big hit! And there's no coming back from that, Ben.
No.
She had great first corner speed, so-so on the way down to horseshoe, only 94 to 97 of the fastest, and now she's just going to tumble.
Yep, she's losing time.
Jane Channel in third, 8900s back. She's already 8800s back. She'll be behind Lelda Predjelena. She'll be a second off the lead. Bam! 1.2 seconds back. A shocker. 1:11.72. Faster than her first heat, but oh dear.
Yeah, and that's all gone wrong with the exit of horseshoe.
She parked it, didn't she?
Yeah, right into that wall.
Well, she's petite enough that it might not have knocked her shoulder that much out of whack, but it was a big hit.
You're high in horseshoe and just coming off and just sliding straight into that wall before Talafalone.
So her teammate, oh, I beg your pardon, it's not her teammate, it's Kendall Westenberg up next for the USA. 2 teammates from North America coming next. Westenberg, World Cup rookie. Best result of the season, 5th place on her home track in Park City 4 weeks ago now. And a good European run, top 6 in St Moritz. It's got to be a great effort from her.
Yeah, absolutely. All she has to do is drive well, stay relaxed, and she might hold on to her place here.
Last season, she was the European Cup champion. Now, the basic learning level is North America's Cup or European Cup. Then there's ICC, the Intercontinental Cup for the more advanced. And she won the Europa Cup last year, so she does know this track. Not as well as Park City, Utah, but... well, she is not finding the speed in the second heat. She's already slipped 7 spots on the splits.
And also touching there out of horseshoe. Just hear her feet on the ice, just scratching as she goes around the corners. And between the corners.
8500s back in 7th place behind Yelena Nikitina of Russia even. 8300s back, 131.2 at the bottom's not bad, but too little too late. She limits the damage. And a 1:11.46 is as fast as anybody went in the first heat. She's nearly 9/10 behind Marina Gilardoni.
Yeah, it really goes to show what a good run Marina put down there.
Smoking. Now, if she could have done that in the first heat, oh boy. We've already had a first-time winner in the men's race with Sun Bin-yoon of Korea.
Kendall, you see here coming out of horseshoe, just touching that wall slightly before she goes into telephone.
Well, that might have disjointed her double-jointed shoulder. There's your happy leader. Race winner Annie O'Shea took victory for the first time in her life in Lake Placid in December. And she lies second in our 5th now in our World Cup standings. But she lies in 5th place in race 7 of the World Cup.
You can see the, oh, touching the wall there out of Kent too. I was going to say, you can see the athletes, as soon as they come out of the groove at the top of the track, they're trying to steer to the left to reduce the angle going into the first kink. Wall into the snake corners, left to right combination sets you up here for Sunny. Not a lot of sun in Sunny today.
1600s over Marina Gilardoni at the start. She's now 1500s back. She's lost 3/10 and she hasn't even got to horseshoe. Here is the signature corner, lots of height, looked like a good exit. 3/10 further back.
Nice line from Shamrock into Devil's Dyke. Devil Dyke's a long left-hand corner, which then puts you into Nameless, and then you get this right-hand combination down the bottom of the four corners.
Same speed as Gilardoni, but nothing in addition to the Swiss girl, and she's already way behind on time. 1:31 from Gilardoni, a kilometre now down. Annie O'Shea will lose ground and lose position. She will drop to second at the line by 44 hundredths. Marina, how far behind was she in the first heat? She was 26 hundredths back, so Annie lost 7/10 of a second.
Wow, that's a lot to lose. But it's still a good result for Annie, top 6. She won't be happy that she's lost a place, but she's in 6th place.
Now, I want to know, do you know Mimi Ranover? Is she the girl in the grey hat who's helping the Canadians with their sleds? Is she waiting to see whether her track record gets blown away? She set it January 28th. That was last week's Europa Cup races. She could still be here.
No,
I've never met her.
Oh, you won't meet her this week either. She's a long way from here.
Laura Dees next up, 4th place, and within sniffing distance of the medals. But first, before she worries about who's to come, she has somehow got to beat Marina Gilardoni of Switzerland, who leads. 5:35, she holds an advantage from the first heat. Gilardoni started a 10th quicker, so the gap is down to 4/10 and lots of glare on the ice as we look at it, but the athlete will have the sun behind them, so should be okay, Ben, right?
Yeah, they should be fine. The only problem that can happen with the sun when you're sliding is when it's shining straight at you and straight into your visor.
But you'd have to be coming uphill for that, and we haven't yet worked out how to do that. 2400's the lead, has almost halved.
A little bit of a correction there going into horseshoe. Long, oh, bit of a hit there.
Well, that was the helmet dragging on the ice through horseshoe, not the toes, I don't think. 1200s. Marina's speed was 97.8, Laura's 95.8. She's in the red and will go further in the red. 600s back, Marina had 131.6. And Laura Dees comes through the speed gun with 129.5. She'll drop to second place, probably no further. But Marina Gilardoni is riding on the crest of a wave. 1:11.21 for Laura. A quarter of a second better than our first round leader managed. There's so much speed in this track. Why do we not race in the middle of the afternoon normally? What are we doing messing around coming here at 6 in the morning? Sorry, personal getting out of bed early rant is now over.
Height.
Look at the height.
So much height in horseshoe. She just needs to bring it down there.
And by the way, brilliantly fed in from tape. Fantastic. Shoots up, rattles the wall on the way down. Marina. Okay, here we go. 3 to go. All Europeans, 1 Austrian, 2 Germans. We've got 2 former race winners, a never race winner in our leaders box, and a never race winner as our first round leader. Janine Flock for Austria, 5:53, 900s quicker than her first start.
Yeah, the kink one there looked a little bit awkward, but she controlled it well. Stays in the middle of the track, coming into wall.
There's a shot you can use in advertising. That's such a beautiful shot with the sun underneath the sled.
So artistic.
I know. No filter required. Janine Flock, 300s up. She was 3,400s up when she lay down. Unless she can sprinkle magic dust lower down the track, she's going to drop behind.
What's the exit going to be like? It's okay.
700s up. She's found something. 98.6, top speed.
Big correction there coming out of Shamrock.
Oh, divided loyalties. You want Janine to be in good shape for her home World Championships, but Marina Gilardoni to win this would be such a story. A 10th of a second. What's the speed? 1:31.2. She should take the lead here. If she doesn't hit the wall, she'll be in the green at the line by a couple. 900s.
Well, great result from Janine. Hasn't been on the podium this year. World Championships in the next 2 weeks on her home track.
Yeah.
Huge confidence boost today.
A former European champion, a European silver medalist last year, so she's been in the top 2 in the Europeans the last seasons. And she leads now with 2 to go. And that is a big boost. First medal of the season. World Championships start on Monday. Wow. But for Marina Gilardoni, she may have left the leader's box. She is not necessarily out of the medals yet, because our first round leaders must find more speed. Tina Hermann, 4 race wins this season, the yellow vest of our World Cup points leader. Oh, and a slip as she lands on the sled. Just got on, Ben.
Just got on, but she's in good position now.
5:49, another faster start.
Shaking her head to the side a little bit, just trying to make sure that she's on the perfect line.
Thank you, Maddie Charney. Carla Pavan, the former slider for Canada, is the girl in the grey hat. I haven't seen her in years, so that's why I didn't recognise it. God, must have been getting on for a decade. Tina Hermann in the green from 700s to 1200s up. That can go with a bad exit out of horseshoe. Medium height, big steer, but gets the exit, still 12 up.
Bit of a tap there at a telephone.
Didn't have the speed going into horseshoe. Didn't have the speed coming out of horseshoe.
Losing a bit of time.
100th, she's going to go behind. She needs 132. In the first heat, she had 129. That's nothing like enough. 130's not enough. She is not going to hold on. Janine Flock will lead at the line. Surely Tina Hermann can't take it away. She can't. Janine leads with 1 to go. Her first medal of the season might be a silver. It might yet be a gold. Marina Gilardoni, 100th out of the medals. I'm saying she's in 3rd place. Tina Hermann in 2nd. Janine Flock leads. 1 to go.
You see Dirk, the coach, yelling at her to run faster. Just a little bit of a slip there as she lands in the left-hand groove before loading onto the sled.
Last 2 steps were half steps. She was trying to catch the sled. Okay, here we go for the big story. Either Janine Flock wins this before the World Championships, or Jacqueline Lurling, in her first season of World Cup sliding, wins gold here in St Moritz.
Jacqueline Lurling is such a good driver.
Well, either way, this is going to set up some fascinating battles for the World Championships. All our top 6 athletes could easily be in the medals in the Worlds. 17th fastest start at 5:58. As she lies down, she's got 400s in the bank over Janine Flock only.
It's a long way down this track, and she's going to use the length of this track to put her skills, her driving skills to the test. And if she drives as well, she's got the win.
She's opening up a 1/10 of a second. Well, in my ear, John Morgan saying she's like Marion Tees. To me, she's a little more...
Oh, bit of a touch there at a
like Noelle Piker's pace. She's got length and height on her side, like Lizzie Arnold does. She doesn't have the speed that those girls have at the start. 96.6 is not good pace. The gap's coming down. She needs fast 4 corners to be perfect now.
And she's late into the right-hand corners.
She needs 132, 130.8. She's a 10th behind. It's not enough. Can she somehow find something on the way to the line? Will she win her first race? No. 4th place. Marina Gilardoni's in the podium. Tina Hermann 2nd, but it is victory for Janine Flock. The Austrian will take her first win of the season the day before, in fact, the day she leaves to go home to Innsbruck for the World Championships. Jacqueline Lurling slips to 4th. Oh, she's going to be heartbroken. You could see that she was about to crumble there. No, not 4th.
That's so disappointing for Jacqueline, leading up to the first run. First time leading after the first run, to drop back to 4th.
Well, her time will come. She's too good not to win races and not to win lots of races.
Yeah, she just struggled through this part of the track. Touches here coming out of horseshoe, and then touches again before Devil's Dyke, and that's the difference at the bottom.
And she's 20 years old. She is at base camp. I said it before and I'm saying it again. This girl is going to win a lot of races, but Janine Flock, what a time to do it.
Yeah, incredible race by Janine. Third after the first run, put down a really good run.
And
Nice
this is
start.
what Eagles gives you. It doesn't necessarily give you the world's greatest start, but it gives you form. And if you can be quiet on your sled here, that works marvels for you as well.
Absolutely, she's got good speed, like great sliding technique, really relaxed on the sled.
Saw her eyes there, looking up to see what the time was, not what the position was, what the time was. Would it be enough? And in the end, top three covered by 900s. Jacqueline Lurling a 10th away in 4th place. Laura Dees 5th, Annie O'Shea in 6th spot as Marina Gilardoni soared up the rankings, having been in 9th place after the first heat. She finishes in the bronze medal position on the Swiss ice. And a Swiss slider, I'm sure, will also be winning medals in the years to come. Tina Herman retains her World Cup yellow vest. Jacqueline Lurling in 2nd. Jane Channel slips to 3rd spot. No, that's the way they were before. Laura Dees was 4th, still is. Annie O'Shea 5th remains there. But Janine Flock closing as she actually gets ahead of Marina Gilardoni and Sophia Griebel. She picks up 2 spots in the world rankings. Still firmly in the top 10 for the start draws in Eagles. Well, goodness me, what an entertaining race that turned out to be. Marina Gilardoni, just a sensational pace up the order. Family are here as ever to congratulate Janine. And boy, if that hasn't ramped up the interest in Austria, or won't ramp up in Saturday and Sunday's headlines, the interest in Austria for the World Championships, I don't know quite what she needs to do so.
Yeah, she's already on billboards on the back of buses sprinkled around Innsbruck, and so definitely going to generate some more interest leading into the World Champs.
Yeah, so a beautiful afternoon and looking more beautiful for Janine Flock. Her first medal of the season is also her first win of the season, and am I right, only the 2nd of her career? At IBSF announcers very quickly, just to correct us on that if we're wrong. There's the Muotas Muragul Hotel and the funicular that leads up to it. And below it, as we pull back, you'll see the natural sliding track, the luge track, if you like, Naturbahn, the Rodel track that zigzags 20 turns down the mountain.
There's been a few skeleton athletes have some bad accidents on that over there.
Yeah. Well, if they went down it sober, it might be a little more drivable. Who can tell? I'm just throwing that one in there as a potential explanation.
Maybe they shouldn't go down head first either.
Well, you know, and the other, I suppose, actually, if you're the less sober you are, the more you bounce. Who knows? Well, there's 2 of our podium finishers. Marina Gilardoni, her time's coming for sure. She's got to end up on the top step of the podium. That's her 2nd bronze medal of the season. She was on the podium in Koenigsee with a bronze. She took silver in Lake Placid behind winner Annie O'Shea. Bronze here again, her 3rd medal of the season. A beautiful sunny afternoon in St Moritz, and our European Championship gold medal goes to Janine Flock ahead of Germany's Tina Herman, with Marina Gilardoni of Switzerland claiming the bronze medal. And that is your overall podium as well. There are the rest of the European sliders positions in the European Championships, round 7 of the BMW IBSF Women's Skeleton World Cup. In a week that threatened perhaps not to have any sliding at all, it's produced 2 spectacular races. Perhaps Janine Flock of Austria, the happiest leaving here. She sets herself up, Ben Sanford, for a tilt at a World Championship medal on home ice, something that will only ever come once in a slider's life, surely.
Absolutely, that's got to be the main focus of her season. She's slid brilliantly here today to take the European Championships, but it's all about the World Championships next week.
So 3 different nations on the podium. Bronze medal for Marina Gilardoni of Switzerland. Silver medal for Tina Herman of Germany. And the gold medal for Janine Flock of Austria. Former cheerleader, Now European champion for the second time in 3 years, silver medalist in the Europeans last year. Boy, she's had a run of form in the Europeans. Can she take that to the Worlds and come out on top on home ice? That would be an emotional day that she would never forget. Well, that will be the next stop for the Women's Skeleton Tour. Join us then in Innsbruck in Austria. Until then, from St Moritz, from Ben Sanford, the IBSF TV crew, and me, Martin Haven, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time out. Goodbye from Switzerland.